I play a woman who is experiencing an awakening of sorts. At the beginning of the film, you find her in a position of loss. Her mother has just died, and you quickly realise that it wasn't the kind of idealised, kind of lovely relationship a mother and daughter shares, and that this woman missed out on a lot of nurturing and a lot of what a kid really is owed when they're growing up. So the film is about her coming to understand what her family means, where they come from, what their intentions are, what her own existence really, what it really entails, and it's really very, very confronting and shocking. The one thing that I would say is somewhat unique, only in that I don't think I've ever really worked in this way before. It was so intensely emotional that rather than kind of, you know, as a younger actor, I kind of think I really used to love the grit and like the more intense the better. And I'm not into that at all anymore. And I think that it had such strength and spoke to me in such an intense way that it was more a case of really trying to avoid what I had to do until they called action. It really, I think that was the only way I survived it. And since then I've kind of wondered, geez, I wonder what the experience would have been like for me if I really gave myself over to it. But I don't think it would have worked because it was just too much. I think this was kind of the only way to kind of survive it and be able to give a reality to each moment when it was required, instead of kind of existing in something that would have been really rather exhausting to do 24/7 for a longer period of time. Really, I didn't have to look further than the script. It was so brilliantly written by Ari Aster. Really, he's a wonderful writer because I think he's such... he just gets what it is to be human, and he understands dynamics between human beings and what it is and how complex it is to literally exist. And so he created something so honest and so raw. I really didn't have to look beyond that. And if I did, I would always look up to his face and he would have an answer should I have a question. I remember being slightly excited about the idea of being part of a seance when I was a teenager, but it never eventuated, and I'm glad because they freak me out. I think it's such a didactic thing to kind of tell audiences what they should expect, because everybody comes to the cinema or any experience in life with their own experiences, and so you relate to things differently. I mean, I hope that they understand that it isn't just like another horror film full of, you know, gratuitous scares. There is such a profound, beautiful story within this, and it is very sad and very moving, and it does become deeply shocking and upsetting. So it is a roller coaster, but it's an exciting new voice in cinema, making a film in a very original way, and that in itself is worth seeing the movie. But the content of the movie is also really, really special, and I think it'll excite people more than, and it seems to be, it excites people more than it intimidates them. Working with Ari is honestly such an incredible pleasure because he's very, very clear about what he wants at any given moment. He's lived with this story for so long in his head and knows every single shot, cutting point, nuance, everything he wants from every actor, how he hears the line. However, he does leave room for interpretation and collaboration. And there was one particular scene where it was a very, very long shot towards the end of the movie where my character is quite maniacal and trying to convince her husband to help her sacrifice herself in order to save her son, quite literally. And there's a moment where I convince him to come downstairs and kind of explain what's going on and ask for his help. It was a long scene, and the words that were written were not quite enough. And I always was very, very loyal to Ari and what he wrote. I did a take that way, and it didn't feel right because there wasn't enough on the page, and the scene was so emotionally big. this kind of a begging scene, really, pleading scene, and a declaration of true love. And so I literally took a moment and I thought, I just have to fucking give it. I had to tell myself to just get over whatever fear was in the way and just get it done. And so we did it again, and it just felt so alive. And I didn't stick to the exact dialogue, and it's the only scene I ever improvised in, but it was so spacious and needed that freedom to convey like the reality of the moment. And the most gratifying, exciting moment of the entire film, I think, was when I knew that they were planning other coverage. And sometimes when you get something and you know that it's right, and when you do get it right in that way that kind of feels very real, there's no way you can repeat it. It becomes like you're mimicking or replicating or trying to get it again. You can never actually get it again. And Ari said to me, that was it. We don't need any more shots. And I was like, thank you. That was it.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. Sound plays such a huge part in this movie too. I mean, it would vary. I love that sound that Millie's character makes. Charlie just has this weird tick which becomes so kind of spooky and haunting. But I think there are so many changes within the film. It's probably a scream that starts somewhere and travels to so many different places and that you never want to hear again once it's uttered.